Welcome back to the movie Vault. Today we're diving into You Season 2, the next chapter in the story of Joe Goldberg, a man who will do anything for love, even if it means leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. After barely escaping New York with his life, Joe finds himself in Los Angeles, the last place he ever thought he'd end up. Armed with a stolen identity, a new apartment, and a fresh start, Joe is determined to leave his past behind. But as we all know, the past has a way of catching up. Joe, now going by Will Bettelheim, quickly finds himself drawn to Love Quinn, a talented chef with a magnetic presence. Unlike his past obsessions, Love isn't just another conquest. She's someone who understands him in ways no one else has. But Joe doesn't trust himself, and for the first time, he actually tries to resist. Yet, resisting Love Quinn is easier said than done. While attempting to build a normal life, Joe befriends his teenage neighbor, Ellie Alves, an aspiring filmmaker with a sharp tongue and big ambitions. But danger lurks around every corner, and Joe's protective instincts kick in when he discovers that Ellie is spending time with a well-connected comedian, Henderson, a man with a hidden, sinister side. Just as Joe begins settling into his new life, a man named Jasper shows up at his apartment, looking for the real Will Bettelheim. Turns out, the identity Joe stole comes with strings attached, one of which is a hefty debt that Jasper wants paid. What follows is a classic Joe spiral, a desperate attempt to fix things, a moment of brutality, and yet another body to dispose of. Meanwhile, Love's world begins to consume Joe's life. He meets her closest friends, Lucy, a sharp-witted literary agent, Sunrise, Lucy's free-spirited girlfriend, and Gabe, Love's best friend and wellness guru. But it's Love's twin brother, 40, who complicates things the most. 40 is erratic, needy, and a wannabe screenwriter determined to make it big in Hollywood. He latches onto Joe, pulling him into his chaotic orbit. As Joe juggles these new relationships, he digs deeper into Henderson's dark secrets. What he finds is worse than he imagined. Using his usual methods, Joe gathers evidence, but in the process, he finds himself in a deadly confrontation. One moment of panic, one wrong move, and Henderson ends up dead. Joe scrambles to make it look like an accident, but the authorities are already sniffing around. Just when Joe thinks he's out of the woods, an unexpected blast from the past arrives. Candace. Not only is she alive, but she's in LA, and she has one goal: to make Joe pay for what he did to her. She embeds herself into 40's life under the alias Amy Adam, charming him while keeping a close eye on Joe. With Candace watching his every move, Joe's paranoia starts to mount. Hoping for a break, Joe agrees to go on a wellness retreat with Love and her family, but the trip only amplifies the tension. Love and 40's family is dysfunctional at best, and it's here that we learn more about 40's troubled past. Love confesses that 40 was involved in a tragic incident when they were younger, one that their wealthy parents covered up. This adds a new layer to their already messy sibling relationship. Back in LA, things spiral further. Love moves on with Milo, her late husband's best friend, while Joe tries and fails to date other women. 40, still fixated on adapting Beck's book into a screenplay, unwittingly pulls Joe's past into the spotlight. Meanwhile, Delilah, Ellie's older sister and a journalist, begins to suspect Joe's involvement in Henderson's death. When she finds his storage unit, she uncovers a terrifying secret. Joe catches her in the act and is left with no choice. He locks her inside, promising himself he'll let her go. But then 40 comes up with one of his worst ideas yet. He stages a fake kidnapping, locking himself and Joe in a hotel room to force Joe to help him finish the script. To make matters worse, 40 drugs Joe with LSD, sending him on a surreal trip where reality blurs. Joe hallucinates, relives his past, and loses time. By the time the drug wears off, he realizes something horrible. Delilah is dead, and he has no memory of what happened. In a panic, Joe retraces his steps, desperate to figure out if he's the killer or if someone else got to her first. Then, Candace makes her move. She follows 40's clues, pieces everything together, and tracks Joe to the storage unit. When she arrives, she finds Joe standing over Delilah's lifeless body. Without hesitation, Candace locks Joe inside, calls Love, and tells her everything. This is it. Joe is finally exposed, but just when it seems like Joe's past has caught up to him, the show delivers its most shocking twist yet. Love already knew. Not only does she accept Joe's past, but she confesses her own dark secrets. She was the one who killed Delilah. She was the one who eliminated another person from their past, and she meticulously orchestrated their relationship, making sure Joe would fall for her. For the first time, Joe isn't the one in control. He sees love for what she really is, his own reflection. And just as he considers ending it, she drops the final bombshell. She's pregnant with his child. With that revelation, Joe decides to stay. Maybe this is what he was looking for all along, a partner just like him. Meanwhile, 40, having finally figured out the truth, tries to save love from Joe. He holds Joe at gunpoint in a final confrontation, but before he can pull the trigger, he is shot and killed by Officer Fincher. With 40 gone, Love's powerful family steps in, cleaning up the mess and pinning multiple deaths on 40, ensuring that Joe and Love walk away free. The season ends with Joe and Love moving into a suburban home, preparing for their new life together. But in the final scene, Joe's obsessive nature resurfaces as he sets his sights on their new neighbor. And just like that, the cycle begins again. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into You Season 2. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth looks at your favorite shows. See you next time.